welcome to our webinar, Approaches to the Internationalization of Higher Education in Colombia and South Africa. Thank you all for joining us today. We have the privilege of hearing from key voices driving these efforts, starting with opening remarks from our distinguished leaders. But before we proceed, I would like to take a moment to provide an overview of the GLOSOUTH project, which serves as a cornerstone for this collaboration. So I'll share my screen and let's have a background and overview of the project. So the GLOSOUTH project is an initiative between the Colombian Network for Internationalization, RCI, and the International Education Association of South Africa, ISA. And this partnership aims to strengthen cooperation between higher education in Colombia and South Africa, focusing on mutual learning, exchange program, and joint initiatives. So our main goals are to facilitate the exchange of knowledge of institutions from South Africa and Colombia, to design joint initiatives to promote the internationalization of higher education in South Africa and Colombia, and to promote Colombia and South Africa cooperation for the internationalization of higher education. With this overview, we invite you all to all the webinars we will have during this year, and next year we'll have 5 webinars that will give you an approach to internationalization of higher education, strategies to promote countries and as academic destinations, curricular internationalization in their diversity, inclusion, and equity. Also, training, development, and mentoring programs for internationalization as a way to promote a professional development. And finally, all the South-South cooperation with best practices that will lead us to our next step and next phase of the project, which is focused on having joint initiatives and matching Colombian and South Africa higher education institutions. And the most exciting part is the South Africa higher education institution incoming mission to Colombia. We will have the privilege of welcoming in Bogota, in Universidad Católica de Colombia, and in Pereira and Manizales, in Universidad Tecnológica de Pereira and Universidad Católica de Manizales, a delegation from South African universities to work together in an event promoting higher education internationalization. Well, so we'll see that during the project, we will have key components, as you may see in the screen. And well, before we get started, some housekeeping guidelines. So please mute your microphone, and if you want to speak, just raise your hand. Feel free to ask your questions in the chat. We'll have a Q&A session at the end of the presentation. And for our speakers, please respect the time limits. We will give you a notice when the time is up. And well, as you may know right now, we're recording this webinar as part of the project and as part of our dissemination and communication strategy. So thank you all. And now I am honored to introduce our first guest, Her Excellency Ambassador Maria Del Rosario Mina, of the Ambassador of Colombia in South Africa. So, Ambassador, you have the floor to share your opening remarks regarding this project. I think you're muted.
There we go. Thank you. I was actually prepared to do this in Spanish, but you let me know if I should do it in English.
Yeah, please.
In English, better?
Yes.
Okay, do my best. Well, good morning, Esther. Greetings from Pretoria. It's afternoon here. It is a great privilege for me to be in the launch of this very important, significant project. I would like to start by saying that The government of Colombia has defined as a purpose in the relations Colombia and South Africa and the international objectives to develop a relationship with no precedent, with no precedents in between Colombia and the continent of Africa, and particularly South Africa. And for that, it has proposed the strategy Africa 2022-2026. And within this strategy, among economy, development, environment, technology, culture, etc., is of course education. In this sense, the purpose of internationalization of education in countries like South Africa is a high priority. South Africa, particularly, is a country that has one of the main objectives, the increase the opportunities of education for their population, especially young population, and the internalization is one of these high priorities. So in this sense, I am very grateful and honored to salute this project of the university. We believe that it's a great opportunity to advance the responsibilities, especially for the embassy, to advance responsibilities that are in the context of our diplomacy, especially in aspects of like internationalization of the curriculum and investigation, and this cooperation south to south. This is a cooperation that led by the University Católica, la Universidad Católica, with the support of ICETEX, the Association of International Education of South Africa, the Association of Universities in Colombia, the Colombian Network for the Internationalization of the Education, and the purpose of the cooperation south to south is looking to link Colombia and South Africa. And this is perfectly linked to the objectives of our policy and the purpose of Colombia becoming a great source of life. So I, to don't go too far, would like to say that we understand how important and fundamental is the role of education, especially when we are thinking on it from a own perspective, a perspective that really serves to the purpose of the community and the country. And for that, I think that this way to find possibilities of connecting and working together to develop curriculums, to develop research, to create opportunities of exchange, to create more network among universities and educational entities is so fundamental. And I would like to welcome this project. I would like to congratulate la Universidad Católica, and all the people that is leading this project. And as embassy, I would like to say that we are here to offer our total support. We are here to contribute, to assist you in any way that is necessary, so the objectives of this project are reached and we can see a real connection, people to people, from Colombia to South Africa and vice versa. So thank you so much. Honored to be here and be able to share with you these words, and have an amazing event. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador Mina, for those inspiring words. Next, I'm honored to introduce Catalina Ceballos. She's the Director of Cultural Affairs of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Colombia. So Catalina, you have the floor.
Good morning, nice to meet you. A warm welcome and to say hello to our ambassador, Maria Del Rosario Mina. She has been one of the greatest ambassadors to work with. She really has been leading these projects in the African diaspora, which I must acknowledge and say thank you, Ambassador, for all the work you've done. It's very important for us to acknowledge and to have the history of what these academic mobility means to Colombia. We are very, very aware that the mobility, that academic mobility is the testimony of many, many Colombians in the future of how they have been able to break barriers in their jobs and in future posts in around the world. The African Colombians who have struggled for a long time in this has a lot of history. We can remember, for example, Manuel Baena. He was an excellent student, but he couldn't pay for his studies. He has a memoir very known for us, Colombia, called How a Black Person Becomes an Engineer in Colombia, Como un negro se hace ingeniero en Colombia. And he tells us during this book how his early childhood in the countryside and how he had to move to a capital city. And thanks to his outstanding grades and abilities, he gained admission to the university and his life dream came true. So his testimony is unfortunately 1 in a million. We had to wait decades before our society opened its educational system to address prejudice and as a society in our country. Now, in recent years, our society has been moving towards a world focused on ethnic equity. It's one of the transversal policies of our President Gustavo Petro, and it's led principally, basically to have social justice. Despite this progress, we know that there is still much to do. We want to ensure people that have been historically marginalized in ethnic groups that can fully access to their civil rights. In the administration, in the government of our President Gustavo Petro, we have committed to foster positive and bold actions towards a comprehensive and modern educational system aimed at addressing the inequities caused by the intersection of gender, ethnicity, and economic inequality. Through the policy of the Ministry of Education, that is known University in Your Territory, Universidad en su Territorio, it has expanded higher education to coverage in many territories of Colombia, and this has meant the guaranteed tuition exemption for Colombia's diverse population. On the other hand, our higher education institutions have broadened their scope of cooperation and sought different horizons, even to uncharted territories. The fact that we are in this meeting today is an example of what we are referring to. This project, which brings together the university networks of Colombia and South Africa, enriches the framework of cooperation in what we have called, led by our Vice President Francia Márquez, Africa Strategy, Estrategia Africa. And it is also been one of the biggest projects that our Minister Luis Gilberto Murillo has led. He and Vice President are very interested in that we keep doing these kinds of projects and that this should be an example. However, it is also part of our duty to listen and to learn from you. To come closer to one of our main cultural roots, to the African continent, and find there, as Manuel Zapata Olivella, a prominent Colombian writer, said, the emotional and religious impact on our civilization. And as for educational cooperation, which is the one we work in our direction of cultural affairs, I expect that our mechanism sponsored by the ICETEX, by the Ministry of Education and our universities, will allow hundreds of thousands of Colombians to go there, to South Africa, and an equal number of South Africans to come here and trace the footprints of our ancestors in the cradle of humanity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Catalina, for the background you gave us about the foreign affairs strategy of the Colombian government. So now I would like to give the floor to Victoria Gómez, advisor for the Ministry of National Education of Colombia, who will share the ministry's perspective on expanding cooperation with South Africa. So Victoria, you have the floor.
Thank you, Carolina. Good morning, Your Excellency Ambassador Maria Del Rosario Mina, Catalina Ceballos, Director of Cultural Affairs from the Colombian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Oscar Dominguez, Executive Director of ASCUN, Sebastián Fajardo from ICETEX, and distinguished guests from South African universities, as well as guests from Colombian universities. I would like to begin by thanking the Colombian Network for Internationalization and the International Education Association of South Africa for hosting this event and for inviting the Colombian Ministry of Education to participate today. This is a great opportunity to participate in this dialogue among respected universities from South Africa and Colombia, exchanging insights and discussing challenges that will strengthen cooperation for the internationalization of higher education between Colombia and South Africa that can be developed through international collaboration. From the Colombian Ministry of Education, we are convinced that international gatherings like this initiative, along with international collaboration and partnerships, are crucial to achieving academic excellence and global development. International collaboration significantly enhance academic quality of universities. By partnering with institutions and researchers worldwide, universities can be exposed to diverse knowledge sources and expertise. This global exchange of ideas leads to more innovative, comprehensive, and impactful research outcomes. Additionally, international research collaborations often result in high-quality publications and important findings. The variety in research topics and approaches these collaborations enriches the curriculum and provides a more dynamic educational environment for students. Collaborating with international partners opens up many opportunities that might be limited within the local or national institutions. Not all universities and countries have the same level of technology, knowledge, and data. These international collaborations offer students exposure to global research networks and practices. Universities now aim to become globalized universities, and in addition, students will be equipped for a world of increasingly globalized professional and academic environments. The students will gain valuable and unique insights into different research methodologies, work cultures, and problem-solving approaches. This exposure not only broadens their academic horizons, but also equips them with the skills and perspectives necessary to succeed in a global workforce. Most of the world's challenges today, such as climate change, public health crisis, and sustainable development, require a global approach. International collaborations allow universities to contribute effectively to these global issues. Universities can also develop more comprehensive and impactful solutions by sharing knowledge, expertise, and resources from across the globe. These collaborations highlight the role of academic institutions in driving positive change and fostering a sense of global responsibility and unity. Additionally, research projects often lead to policy changes and real-world impact, showcasing the practical relevance of university research. International collaborations are not just about academic exchange, they're also about cultural exchange. People from different countries and universities interact. They will foster a deeper understanding and respect for different cultures and perspectives, such as cultural exchanges enrich the university community, promoting inclusivity and diversity. These networks also provide a platform for sharing best practices in research and education, contributing to the overall improvement of the academic sector. From the Colombian Ministry of Education, we have the firm purpose of strengthening the relationship of Colombian universities with universities abroad, especially in Africa, to promote educational opportunities and cultural exchanges. We truly believe that distance is no longer the barrier. The underlying similarities between Africa and Latin America, their shared common interest, means that there is a considerable scope for both continents to contribute and to benefit. Through involvement in diverse international forums like this one and the regional integration initiatives with Latin American nations are exercising increasing influence in the world. Promote cooperation among countries like South Africa to strengthen English and Spanish language skills, for example, exchange experiences for peace and educational models of rural education, increase articulation and strengthening of English in the technical and professional technological context. English language teaching has become a national priority in the context of the internationalization agendas, a reflection of the importance of English proficiency of global policy and mobility. Finally, in regards to the importance of international collaborations between higher education institutions, I would like to highlight that Colombian universities currently have approximately 15 formal agreements between African and Colombian institutions. The research collaboration areas are cooperation projects on environmental and social issues, joint research projects on green economy, biodiversity, coffee, and bean practices. Prioritizing these areas of research has significantly strengthened cooperation bonds between our countries. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gómez, for those insightful remarks. Now, and before we move to our to our last presenter, who is Sebastián Fajardo, we would like to thank the universities that made this possible. So I'd like to thank Universidad Católica de Colombia, Patricia Serrano, Universidad Uniminuto, Luis Hernández, Uniremington, Melissa Mendoza, Universidad Católica de Manizales, Sandra Valencia, y Matías Marín, pero Matías Marín acá representa también la Red Colombiana para la Internacionalización, Heidi de la Universidad Católica de Colombia, Olga Saavedra de la Universidad San Buenaventura, Kelly Pino de la Universidad CUL. Sorry, I started speaking in Spanish, but it was because I was saying the names in Spanish. And well, and Carolina Cuartas, the leader of the project and coordinating with the RCI from Universidad Tecnológica de Pereira. So thank you to all the group that made possible this project that was financed by ICETEX, and that's why Sebastián, thank you very much, and the International Relation Office of the ICETEX for giving us the opportunity to connect with South African universities and have this space and this roadmap to cooperate with South African universities. So thank you very much, and you have the floor.
Thank you, Carolina, and thank you for all the colleagues, Colombian universities, which made this opportunity a real project. And good morning and good afternoon, everyone. I am part of the International Relations Office of ICETEX. We're really happy to be here and to be able to see the beginning of such an important project. ICETEX is a public institution which works for the education and the internationalization of higher education of our country. This opportunity, what we are seeing in this moment, it's only possible thanks to the great work of the universities and networks involved in South Africa and Colombia. This project shows the maturity and potential of Colombian networks and universities to contribute to the country's development. This may be one of the principal projects of the Call of Grants, which is supporting this project. Demonstrate and shows that Colombian universities are essential actors for the development and social transformation of our country. One of our roles is to promote the internationalization of higher education and support the implement of public policies in Colombia. This is why this project is very important. It's a very important achievement for our entity and for Colombia. This project is not just for the education sector; it's for all the country, and we're really proud to be here to see you working, because we are just giving some tools, but all the work is done by the institution, in this case, the networks in Colombia and South Africa, and all the universities represented by their directors and head of international office, which are really brilliant people. The generation of links with Africa is a priority of our government, and from ICETEX we recognize the opportunity and the immense potential for universities to continue to grow around internationalization through cooperation with universities in South Africa. I personally believe that the best way to promote links between two regions is through education, so this is a really good beginning, and I have seen in other projects and another projects which look for the integration of different regions. For ICETEX, it's an honor to support this type of initiatives, and we will be at your complete disposal to support you in whatever you may require during the development of the project. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sebastián, and thank you to the International Office of ICETEX for promoting internationalization and collaboration with African countries, but with the whole world. So thank you very much for being here and supporting this initiative. So now we move on to our keynote presentations, and we'd like to start with Lavern Samuels, who is the president of the International Education Association of South Africa, ISA, and who will share with us the South African approach to internationalization. I also like to thank, especially in the part of the presentation, to Sami and Tohira. They've been working a lot with us in making this project possible. So thank you very much to all the ISA members, and especially to Sami and Tohira, who have been working every week with us, making this possible. So Dr. Samuels, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Carolina, for the opportunity to speak to this group. My warm greetings, colleagues. I would like to also greet you with the local greeting from my area, Sanibona, which means I see and acknowledge you. So I actually would like that to be my special greeting. I acknowledge the presence of the ambassador, the Colombian ambassador to South Africa, who is with us today, and I would like to thank her for her support and for her efforts. People-to-people links have become increasingly important in the world, and I think this is a unique moment in time for universities and international educators to be bridges in society, to work beyond what governments can do, because we work in a world that is beset by conflict, contestation, geopolitical shifts. And here we have an opportunity to bring a special relationship that exists between two countries and take it to another level. This South-South collaboration is really important for us in building these bridges, building a global commons of scholars, of scholarship and engagement in advancing our people and our academy. Our international education is underpinned by social justice, decolonization of the curriculum, epistemic justice, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we can come together to strengthen these elements of international education together. I want to say a little about IISA. It is the leading national organization with a dedicated focus to higher education. And IISA's vision is to advance internationalization of higher education with an African perspective within a global context. And we invite you into our world in that context. IISA's national institutional membership is 23 out of the 26 universities in South Africa, representing 85% of the higher education landscape. Diversity is reflected in these institutions, and even the three that are presenting today, Nelson Mandela University, Stellenbosch University, and the University of Venda, represent part of that diversity. And as this project evolves, you will see more of the diversity, the richness of our diversity evolving. It has been increasingly important for internationalization to be driven within South Africa. We came from a period of deep isolation before democratic South Africa, and we have now moved into a period of deep engagement. And engagement with Colombia is a central part of what we see as strategically important for us as an African country, for a global South country, and for a country that is leading issues around social justice. The national internationalization of policy of South Africa is something that is fairly new. South African universities operated without a national internationalization policy between 1994 and 2020, and IISA played an important role in lobbying for such a policy starting in the early 2000s. And the first national framework for internationalization was developed and promulgated towards the end of 2020. It is a document that we are still unpacking. And of course, COVID, which came shortly after the promulgation of the policy, or actually during the promulgation period, has also altered how we will unfold and unroll this policy going forward. But the policy framework provides for comprehensive and inclusive internationalization, student and staff mobility, research collaborations, cross-border and collaborative qualifications, including joint degrees, internationalization at home, using the virtual space. And I think it gives us many, many opportunities to work together as organizations. The policy is very clear. We should be working firstly within Africa, but then with the global South. And this special relationship between our countries is important within the global South context for us to take together. Research is a growing area of interest for IISA, and we worked with the British Council over the last few years in a national research endeavor that looked at where internationalization was in South Africa. That report has recently been released, and we will be disseminating that report. It gives us a good idea of where internationalization is and where we should be working, and we are happy to share that report with you. The study was the first of its kind for South Africa, and it's an important, it's a landmark moment for us that we can share. The report is titled Exploring Internationalization of Higher Education at Public Universities in South Africa. And this type of research endeavor is something that we can also consider doing with our Colombian colleagues as we look at the research element of internationalization. I want to end by saying that in South Africa, this inclusive and comprehensive approach to internationalization has meant that internationalization in South Africa is far more transformational than it is transactional. I do realize that there has to be that balance. There are transactional aspects to internationalization, but for us, it is about transformation of our society. And so I want to end with a saying from our former great president, who spoke about exactly what we are doing together, working together to change society. And he says, and I quote, "Education is the great engine of personal development. It is through education that the daughter of a peasant can become a doctor, that the son of a mine worker can become the head of the mine, and that the child of a poor farm worker can become the president of a great nation." And so we invite you to walk with us in this transformational journey. The African proverb says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So this is our invitation to you for us to walk together so that we can go further together. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Lavern, for your thoughtful overview of South Africa's initiatives, the perspective of international education in South Africa. And now we turn to Matias Marin, chair of the Colombian Network for Internationalization of Higher Education, who will present Colombia's approach to this important topic. Yes.
Thank you, Carolina. It is a real honor to be here. Dear Ambassador Maria Del Rosario, our people from the Ministry of Education and Foreign Affairs, our partners of IISA, friends, colleagues from South Africa and Colombia. So being education a driver for this transformation of society, we want to share some lines, a macro framework of possible collaboration connecting the national strategy with the institutional strategy for internationalization and approaches. So I will also be very brief in this presentation, but we want to provide this overview. First of all, something very important is that the country has a national strategy for international cooperation. It was mentioned by our speakers, and we want to have a special view on climate change, environmental justice, and energy transition as clear areas that, as Sebastián was saying, we are not only thinking about education, but we're all thinking about how education connects with other different sectors in Colombia. So these are some areas in which Colombia is interested, as well as for this international cooperation for hunger and humanitarian assistance, the right to food, this inclusion, popular economy, this community and solidarious economy. Peace and justice was mentioned, that we had social justice, epistemic justice, fighting against inequality. And that's also another area in which we share interests as Colombia and South Africa. And in our case, with the country, strengthening the information on international cooperation at not only at national and international levels, but also in our territories, in rural and urban territories. We belong to our societies, and that's why we think that international cooperation through education can be also a catalyzer for change and for social transformation. There is a special focus as well on female leadership in international cooperation and female agenda for this, so that citizens, let's say, regain this trust, this confidence in the institutions. In the same way, in Colombia, we're also in an ongoing process for the guidelines, the policy guidelines for internationalization. This is led by the Ministry of Education and the Corporate University, Alexander van Humboldt. But it has been also a participatory process, gathering over 100 institutions, people from the different higher education institutions in Colombia, but also from the different networks of Colombia for internationalization, and also of the associations of technical universities, technological universities, and other universities and higher education institutions. So we focus especially on 4 main areas, which is territorial internationalization, how internationalization can contribute to society, providing these links between the local and the global, especially with social responsibility. Also to strengthen the governance for internationalization, in which it is not only something due for the international office, but it's actually part of the strategic mission of our universities, engaging different stakeholders and providing those institutional conditions for internationalization. Dr. Samuels was saying as well of the decolonization of the curriculum, interculturalism, equity, and we have now a strong focus on intercultural and international curriculum, so that we can provide curriculum development not only in the micro level, but also meso and macro, so that we really address, let's say, this systematically in our institutions. And the plurilingualism, some of them with foreign languages, but some others with our native languages, it's also part of our diversity and the interculturalism in the curriculum approaches in the country. And also for the internationalization of creation, science, technology, and innovation, we want to continue strengthening our relationships with the world, with the global outreach of research, innovation, and entrepreneurship, and also fostering the science diplomacy. So basically, this project also is providing this public diplomacy, academic diplomacy, and science diplomacy between Colombia and South Africa. Finally, our Colombian Network for Internationalization also approaches internationalization through this international cooperation, but also fostering strategic partnerships. We advocate for regional integration in the Latin America and the Caribbean region, but also in the Global South and in the North-South-South cooperation. Professional development, capacity building for internationalization of the curriculum, and especially that internationalization is a driver for society. Those are our main areas. This is just the first webinar in which we want to provide to give some food for thought for our, not only for our first stage, which are this series of webinars for creating this mutual understanding and knowing each other, but also for the B2B sessions and the joint initiatives that will come up afterwards with our project. So we are so happy to be here and to creating these stronger links and synergies between Colombia and South Africa. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Matias, and thank you, Matias and Lavern, for your perspective, the overview of the internationalization policy and perspectives in Colombia and South Africa. Now we're moving to a very interesting part, which is presenting the models of internationalization of our higher education institutions. So we'll start with Patricia Serrano. We'll hear from 3 representatives of Colombian universities and 3 representatives from South African universities. So I'd like to introduce Patricia. She is the Director of International Affairs of Universidad Católica de Colombia. Patricia, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. I'm very happy sharing this presentation with you today as one of many examples of what we are doing here in Colombia. And I'm also sharing you a virtual coffee that we hope that you can try soon or next year here in our country. At Universidad Católica de Colombia, we have a comprehensive and connective approach of internationalization. And based on this approach, we have defined 3 objectives and 4 strategic areas that complement each other through this management model that I'm showing you here. The objectives or the reasons why we internationalize our university are to support the quality of the programs, to create intercultural competencies in the academic community, and to strengthen the visibility and reputation of the institution. And the following strategies are the ones that materialize our internationalization proposal at the institutional level, but they are the same ones that the faculties, schools, and academic departments implement in their annual strategic plan. So the first strategy is Global Affairs for the Campus, which has 2 lines of actions: internationalization at home and internationalization of the curriculum. This strategy has allowed us to generate awareness, training, knowledge, and culture around internationalization, and has been the basis for building capacity and interest in many of the services that we offer. We are articulated with the curricular guideline of the university. We have adopted and adapted the competence of global citizenship, and from there we design 4 internationalized learning outcomes that strengthen the skill of interculturality, global vision, critical thinking, digital citizenship from the perspective of internationalization. Here we work on double degrees, the use of English in the curriculum. We have a large portfolio every semester of COILs, visiting professors, subjects with EMI methodology, international congress, among other activities that you can see here. The second strategy is academic mobility with 2 lines of action: short-term mobility and long-term mobility. We have incoming and outgoing exchange programs, both in face-to-face and virtual modalities. We are allied with several associations and networks that offer mobility programs for the students and professors. And we also seek financial resources through international cooperation programs or by bilateral negotiations with our partners. The third strategy is international cooperation. Our emphasis here is internationalization of research, third mission, social responsibility, and institutional management. Here we strengthen the work with academic networks, the presentation of projects for external funding, and the creation of alliances for the generation of institutional capacities. And finally, the interinstitutional relations strategy, which is in charge of our presence in rankings and ratings, the national and international accreditations and certification of the programs, of the academic programs, the development of evaluation instruments or tools for the internationalization services that we offer, and the recruitment for incoming short-term mobilities. And to implement this model, we have a team in the International Relations Office that I led, but also in each academic unit, we have an internationalization, a coordinator of internationalization. This is all I wanted to share with you, and under these strategies, we were very interested in working with our South African partners along this year. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Patricia, for sharing a model that I really like from a Colombian university, and that is very inspiring for us to share good practices and exchange knowledge. Well, now I'll give the floor to Sandra Valencia, and she's the International Relation Coordinator at Universidad Católica de Manizales. Sandra, the floor is yours.
Hi, everybody. We're really happy to be sharing with you all. I think this is a very exciting project, and hopefully after listening to the institutions that will be talking today, we'll find many opportunities to work together and, well, to share experiences and go beyond. Can you please go to the next slide? Thank you. Well, what we're going to share today here is the model we have in our institution, Universidad Católica de Manizales. And like we start in the very first place responding to our institutional policies, in the very first place, our university education project. In the second place, the institutional development plan that it's up to 2025, and we are in the process of self-evaluation to start rebuilding a new one for the next period that's coming. And our policy of UCN Global that basically also it's led by the quality assurance team, and like the one we also respond to. This is all managed through different communities, learning communities and communities of action in internationalization, with the idea basically to work together through different interaction components in the academic programs. To achieve this, we work with three different pillars. This is the first pillar, second pillar, and third pillar. The first one, it's centered on the internationalization of the core missions. In the very first place, we work through internationalization of the curriculum. We want our students to experience this international dimension through strategies that we have been integrating through a pathway for the development of abilities for a global performance, skills for global performance. And basically we have here in our top strategies, COIL, mirror classes, experts that we invite to our sessions, and of course, these learning plus service strategies. And second place, we have this scientific knowledge generation and innovation with an international scope. And here, basically, we try to boost strategies and activities and initiatives that pursue our researchers to be linked to researchers around the world, sharing this generation of knowledge generation in co-authoring. Also, projects and initiatives that go through innovation and entrepreneurship. In the third place, we have the international social outreach and welfare. And what we want is to have an impact in our communities, the closest communities and companies that in a way can be benefited by what we have here in our institution in terms of academic initiatives, research initiatives, and so some others. And the second pillar, we have the capacity building for internationalization, in which we try to manage the different lines. The first one is the bilingualism, and the second one is the protection of native languages. And the second one, we have international cooperation strategies based on projects and networks and other different pathways that allow us to build capacities, working together with other people who is interested also in similar goals. The third line, it's professional development with an international scope. And for that one, we want to build capacities in our staff, professors, and researchers so that they can be strong enough to build capacities together with other peers around the world. In the third pillar, we have the internationalization of the university profile. And here we want or we expect to build this intercultural citizenship in our professors, students, and staff, but also to gain international reputation and positioning. These three pillars are crossed by internationalization at home strategies that also include different strategies that we manage with ME courses and CLIL courses and sessions in English and reading comprehension strategies. And also together with this internationalization of the curriculum strategies. And together with that, we also boost initiatives that promote academic mobility, that build up opportunities and strategies for everybody at the university. This is basically with the aim to the construction of no citizenship based on interculturalism initiatives that at the same time also develop these abilities in our students. So thank you so much, and we're really happy to be sharing with you today.
Thank you, Sandra, Universidad Católica de Manizales, for sharing their internationalization model. We're going to make a change of plans because Professor Judy has to leave before. So if you want to share your screen, Professor Judy, you are allowed to do it right now, and you can go with your presentation, and then we'll do Melissa's presentation. So let me know if you can share the screen, or do you want us to share your presentation?
Please share the screen. I'll appreciate it if you share the screen.
Oh,
If you can share my presentation, please.
yeah, sure. So Pamela, can we go with Professor Judy's presentation, please?
In the interim, good afternoon and good morning. Thank you for the opportunity, and good afternoon to Your Excellency and colleagues from Colombia and South Africa. So I'm from the Nelson Mandela University of Technology. Slide, please. So what I've done is just put in some points on how the university responds broadly to some of these areas, you know, from our own vision. We have a vision 2030 to vision 20, but I think they've got 23 there. But we also respond to issues of gender, of lifelong learning, urban settlements. In a broad perspective, we respond to SDGs. Slides. Slide, please. Yes. So the university, like the President Lavern Samuels explains, we have a national policy. So our internationalization policy responds to that policy, and we guide it. So it provides broad guidelines for us. And one of it is the UCDP, that is government sponsored grants that support staff development, student development, and curriculum development. So all of these key principles are embedded in our internationalization strategy. So, and broadly, slide, please. And broadly speaking, the internationalization strategy, as already mentioned by other colleagues, responds to a decolonial mandate in the Global South. And I think the earlier colleagues also spoke about these broad areas of internationalization, which I refer to as phases, which is student affairs, study abroad, smart partnerships, building community of practice, and into the internationalization of the curriculum, the decolonization and the Africanization of the curriculum, and finally, marketing and fundraising. Here, once more, we respond to global trends, you know, the increasing student mobility to transnational education, because inevitably, students that graduate or alumni that leave the institution need to be globally competitive. Therefore, we need to respond to some of these international trends that happen in higher education. So I'm not going to go through all of them because of time. Slide, please. So in establishing an internationalization strategy, so I'm at the Mandela University, and this is my 3rd month at this university. So I'm in the process of rewriting or revisiting the strategy. So this is what we're doing at this point. We're going to audit all the phases of internationalization that I've just mentioned to co-create and create a new strategy. And we're going to respond to the gaps and align with the Vision 2030, our national policy plan, as well as SDGs. So here we're looking at an approach that looks at the targets that's set by our university. So broadly speaking, you know, we are a comprehensive university. We have 7 faculties. We have campuses, multi-campuses across the area that we live in, that is the Eastern Cape. And so all the stakeholders are involved and devolved the internationalization strategy into the faculties to address some of these targets. international strategies of the faculties, research, engagement, enrollment planning, the number of African and SADC partnerships. As the President explained, our priority in terms of partnerships is the African footprint, followed by BRICS, Commonwealth associations, the Global North, the Global South, Asia Pacific, looking at staff mobility, short learning programs, student mobility, COIL, and joint degree offerings. And in our national policy, joint degree offerings at a postgraduate level is promoted. Slide. So the whole idea is, on a global scale, is to increase this kind of collaboration in our faculty that will enrich the university's experience and also create global platforms. For example, we're looking at global classrooms and COIL. How do we increase the internationalization of the curriculum, strategic partnerships? How do we use decolonization to impact staff mobility? How do we decolonize student mobility? How do we use capacity building projects and dovetail that with existing partnerships like the DAAD, diplomatic relationships? And how do we look at collaborative online learning? Slide. Here, I always say, you know, the relationship between the university management, faculty, and other critical stakeholders is a delicate balance. In essence, to look at the agenda of learning and teaching, research, and engagement. And the approach that we're going to use in finalizing this strategy is, number one, to bridge the gap between the faculty and researchers, to engage senior leadership, to establish research relationships with the internationalization ecosystem, to look at an advisory committee, to ratify policies at the powers that be, to devolve all these policies into the wider Mandela community, and finally, to allocate an internationalization office on all our different campuses so that we could devolve this policy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Judy. And before that the ambassador leaves and Judy leaves, we would like to have a picture of all the speakers that are here and the participants that joined the webinar. So please, everyone, open your cameras and we'll take a group picture. Thank you very much. Sandra, you'll help me with the picture.
Carolina, before the ambassador goes, I'd like to make a comment to
Sure.
say, firstly, thank you for accommodating us in English today, and thank you for conducting this meeting in English. But we hope that as this project evolves, that we will be able to have part of this meeting in Spanish, and multilingualism should be an important part of this project as we learn from each other.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Lavern, for those words. So I think we're ready. So
Smile, everybody, please.
smile, everybody.
Freeze your smiles. Hold
Yeah.
on. Let's try 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's it.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ambassador, for joining us today, for being here the whole webinar. And we would like to invite you to the next webinars and the next joint initiatives that we will have. So thanks a lot. And thank you, Professor Judy, as well.
No, thanks you for having me. And I really look forward to next meetings. And, you know, the embassy is always with open doors to support you in any capacity. So thank you.
Thank you very much and see you soon. So we can move on with Melissa's presentation. Melissa is from Corporación Universitaria Uniremington in Medellín. Melissa, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Carolina, and good morning and good afternoon to everyone. Well, I'll start saying that Remington is, although we are our main campus in Medellin, we're a national university. We have 29 campuses around the country. So this is important for our internationalization model because we actually have interculturality embedded in our DNA. So for our internationalization model, we are a young university, 28 years, and we decided to go back to the basics. We have been doing a restructuration of the internationalization department. So we decided it is better to go step by step. And this is our internationalization model. We have two main purposes with our strategy. The first is visibility and positioning our institution in local, regional, national, and international settings. And also, as most of my colleagues here, training of students as global citizens or professionals with global thoughts and global ability. So those are our main goals. And for that, we have two main focuses and three main focuses: curriculum, research, and society. This is because here in Remington, we believe internationalization is an articulating element for the three main functions of a university. So that is why we focus our work on internationalization of our curriculum and for our students to have more understanding of the world and what happens around it within their classes and within their learning spaces. Also, internationalization of research, of course, we focus this on our researchers mainly and our young researchers, students that are young researchers that want to give the research that they do in the solution that they're giving to certain challenges, a global perspective. And finally, society, because as a university, we truly believe that we, and it's our main purpose in the university, is to transform realities of our students through education and through knowledge. So that's why as a university and through internationalization, we can touch and impact societies around us. And since we are national universities in different departments here in Colombia, different cities here in Colombia, we take this much into account to touch the lives of people that are most vulnerable here in our country. And for this, we have four main pillars of work. We have international academic mobility, virtual and face-to-face mobility for both students and professors, researchers also, and administrative staff. We have international cooperation understood as projects of international cooperation, as scholarships, as every opportunity we have to get financial external support for all the activities that we do here in the university. Partnerships and networks, of course, for us, and also in the same line as my colleagues, internationalization is based in relations and it's based on those strategic partnerships and strategic networks that we work in. Not only the general institutional ones, but also the disciplinary ones, the ones that our researchers can do, our professors can do, and our students can do. And finally, internationalization at home. We believe the need to bring those cultural and international thinking to our campus and to manage an international intercultural campus. That is why interculturality and multiculturalism are transversal elements to our model. These are the main things that we have embedded in our internationalization strategy and also in our education strategy as a university. And that's pretty much it. I tried to be very quick about it. So that's pretty much about Remington. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Melissa. And now we have two presenters left from the South African side. So I'd like to give the floor to Sarah van der Westhuizen from Stellenbosch University.
Okay. Thank you, colleagues, for this opportunity. Buenos dias. I'm not Spanish speaking, but I am definitely committing to improve my Spanish. So let me just quickly share my presentation. I'll be very quick. And okay. There we go. There. Okay. Colleagues, can someone just indicate that they can see my screen?
Yes.
We can see it, Sarah.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So, colleagues, I've added a few slides at the beginning, which I'll quickly go through because we need to talk about the internationalization. So, firstly, I just want to say that Stellenbosch University is a multilingual institution. We are situated within the Western Cape. We are a mid-sized institution. We are comprehensive in terms of our academic offering, 10 faculties and 2 schools. We are situated in the Western Cape, so the most southern province of South Africa, and we have 5 campuses within the Western Cape. So just quickly, so we have, like all institutions, have a strategic framework. We have a Vision 2040. The reason why I'm starting with a strategic framework is because we have a bit of a waterfall approach here at Stellenbosch in terms of our internationalization policy. It's strongly linked to our strategic framework. So the university strategic framework has 6 strategic themes. And I think what's very important to note here is that 2 of these 6 strategic themes are very strongly linked to internationalization, namely purposeful partnerships and inclusive networks, and also networked and collaborative teaching and learning. So from the start, on a very high level, internationalization is included within the institutional strategic framework. Now, moving from the strategic framework, our last internationalization policy was implemented in 2019. It is up for review, but the review will only happen after the strategic framework for the institution has been updated. But I think what's important to note is that we follow a comprehensive internationalization approach at Stellenbosch University. So we really want to integrate internationalization in all the different levels of the institution, exposing and giving staff and students an international experience or opportunity. In terms of internationalization policy, we have identified, or we use 8 dimensions, which guides our internationalization approach. And as you can see there, I've listed the dimensions here. If you would like to have more information about this, I'm more than willing to share the internationalization policy. It's also available on our website. Now, I think what is very important to note is that, as I indicated, our internationalization policy at Stellenbosch is guided by our strategic framework. Within the strategic framework, we have certain values that have been identified. There's 6 values that's really important for us. And so from the perspective of Stellenbosch University, for us, responsible internationalization would mean that we follow or use our values also as signposts in terms of how we do internationalization. And then just lastly, just in terms of our kind of approach and our flow in terms of internationalization strategy at Stellenbosch. So as I indicated, we have a Vision 2040, we have a strategic framework. From that, we developed our internationalization policy with the 8 dimensions. And from the internationalization policy, we also developed 2 important documents that guide our thinking and our work in terms of internationalization. Firstly, our partnership framework. And our partnership framework really provides us with rationales and cues in terms of how to build partnerships and how to engage with partners. And then the second important document is our global learning document. And our global learning document specifically focuses on how internationalization can be embedded in terms of the formal curriculum, co-curricular, capacity building. It also focuses on student integration and internationalization at home. And then lastly, it has a very, very strong focus on global learning outcomes. So we want, when students or staff take part in internationalization activities, that they reach certain outcomes. And we formulated 6 outcomes, and that's also for us very, very important when we design our programs. And that's that. I only have 3 minutes. I just want to give you a quick snapshot. Maybe I can just say, just to conclude, as I said at the beginning, we are a multilingual institution. Within the Western Cape, we have 3 main languages. South Africa, we have 12 languages, official languages, but within the Western Cape, we have 3 languages, English, isiXhosa, and Afrikaans. And Afrikaans is my mother tongue, so I just want to say thank you in Afrikaans to you. So baie dankie vir hierdie geleentheid. Thank you, colleagues.
Thank you, Sarah, for sharing your presentation to your university. I think we have a very interesting overview of South Africa and Colombian universities. So the last but not least presenter today is Dr. Segun from University of Venda. So Dr. Segun. Hi. Okay.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I'm trying to share my slide. I hope you can see my slide.
Yes.
Yes. My name is Segun Obadiwe. I'm the Director of International Relations and Partnership at the University of Venda. University of Venda approach towards achieving internationalization of higher education is based on the how the university itself has entrenched internationalization within its strategic plan 2021-2025. And within that particular strategy, the approach that we focus on is how we can make internationalization a comprehensive institutional part of what we do within the scope of the university, the core business of the university, in terms of the research, community engagement, innovation, as well as teaching and learning as well. The international relations and the partnership was established in 2011, and within that period until now, we have seen a lot of gains from that. Talk about being a central pivotal for all the core business of the university and making sure that the university academics and administrative staff members are also taking advantage of the internationalization within the university. We also see that it is very critical in terms of how to promote collaboration, which has to do with strategic partners, because if we look at the University of Venda, we're strategic. I mean, if you look at how we are located, far away, and also within the rural setup. But in that setup, we don't want to see ourselves as a rural university, but we might be based in a rural setup, but we like to take advantage of that particular opportunity in terms of making are connected globally as well. We also see internationalization as an opportunity to link every aspect of what we do, including working with the community, to our global partners, our international partners. So it's an opportunity for our partners to also see, where our people are coming from, what background, their cultural inclination, and what can they also contribute in terms of working together with those partners that are visiting the university. So we also make sure that we achieve this by different events that we established within the university. Some of those activities is what we regard as an Internationalization Week, where we bring all our partners together and invite all the community partners as well, including the industry, to see it as a, in a platform whereby they can also discuss research activities and findings, global interests, as well. So we also look at the area of promoting collaboration with research and innovation through partnerships in health, and also want to make a unique area of indigenous knowledge system, which is one of our strong areas at the University of Venda, where we expose our partners to this particular program, whereby they can also see, in terms of heritage, the culture, the people themselves, how to also, be able to work, in that aspect. And with all these, within the core business of the university, we also make sure that we respond to the national, international imperatives, including the 2020 agenda, Africa Agenda 2063, and the SDGs. Every research activities, every core business, must also be able to respond to this. And with that, we also participate in ranking, as I've enumerated in this particular slide. Our location, like I mentioned, we are very close to the Kruger National Park, and the vegetation is quite different from every part of the country, and we are very close proximity to borders of other SADC countries as well, and located in mostly fruits production area of South Africa, actually regarded as the fruit basket of South Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Segun. And well, we're coming to the end of our webinar, and I would like to give the floor to Samia, who's been a very important person in making this project real. So Samia, I'll give you the floor for you to give us the final considerations, and I'll share the survey to our colleagues.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you, Carolina. As we said before the webinar started, we are all so excited that this day has finally come, especially having worked with you behind the scenes on the funding proposal and all of those things. It's wonderful that we are here today with so many of our colleagues from Colombia and South Africa for this very first webinar. Thank you so much again for joining us. We will share the presentations and everything that had been shared with us with all of you. But we also wanted to let you know, and we had sent this invitation out already, but this is a great opportunity now to remind you that as part of this one-year initiative of this GLOSOUTH project to facilitate and strengthen collaboration between Colombia and South Africa, we also developed an instrument to really kind of like get a better understanding of what kind of relationships and partnerships already exist, what kind of partnerships and relationships and linkages you would be interested in. And so we developed an instrument, a questionnaire that is one for South African universities and the other for Colombian universities. They are the same questions that we are asking, just in the different languages. So Carolina has shared here on the screen, you can just scan the QR code or click on the, when we send you the presentation, you can click on the links we would would really like to ask you and invite you and encourage you to participate, because the data that we are going to gather through this is also really going to help us fine-tune some of the events that are coming. And as Carolina said at the beginning, this is the first of 5 webinars that we are planning. We are also going to have networking sessions next year. And of course, you know, we're going to take a delegation of South African colleagues to Colombia. So a lot of the information that we're gathering here will help us, and not only for those activities, but also to write up 2 very important documents towards the end of this project. One is a roadmap on South-South collaboration, using this project, using Colombia and South Africa as examples. And then we're also planning to develop a MOOC. So please do share your insights, thoughts, suggestions about this general collaboration with us. We would really very much appreciate your survey responses. And of course, the data that we are going to gather, we are going to share with you and give back to you at some point in terms of information. I'm really delighted, and I'd like to thank you all very, very warmly. Also the ambassador again in her absence now, all the colleagues from the Colombian ministries and from our funding organization, ICETEX, thank you so much for supporting us. I think we very much appreciated also the words of the ambassador to say, you know, you are going to be here with us for this year, supporting this collaboration. And this is, I think, the best thing that we could have wished for. Also to say from the South African side, you know, there are more and more conversations, of course, about South-South collaborations. And we are so excited that we actually, for the first time, really offer this kind of collaborative platform for this collaboration between Colombia and South Africa. From the very many presentations shared today, I think it is quite clear that as 2 countries, we have a lot in common. We share a lot of priorities when it comes to internationalization, the transformative character of internationalization, the social justice elements in it. I think that came out very, very strongly. And so I am very optimistic, and I'm sure you are as well, that we are going to travel this journey together over the next year. And then, of course, you know, as you know, this is also just the beginning, hopefully, of many wonderful partnerships that will emerge and that we will be able to strengthen. So please follow our social media platforms, both on the RSI side and the IESA side. We advertise all these events, of course, through our mailing lists. We will keep you abreast of what is going to happen. The webinar schedule is already available, so please save the dates of all the dates. And of course, we will approach our member institutions on both sides to be involved. Thank you so much to those 6 universities who presented their internationalization agendas and approaches today. The idea today was really just to open up the conversations and you know, share the ideas that we have for this webinar. And of course, we hope that you will travel along this journey with us. And so please also, if you have any suggestions, concerns, please write to us, you know, because we have a clear plan and a schedule of what it is that we would like to do, but we are certainly flexible enough to be able to respond to any particular needs and interests that arise along the way. And having said that, I think I would like to thank you again. And considering the time, I think, you know, we can declare this webinar closed, and we very much look forward to future engagements with you all. Thank you so much.